Hello everyone, this is Eric and welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today I'm going to be talking about part 2 of my top 10 favorite Disney movies, numbers 5 to 1. Number 5 is Tarzan. Tarzan is a great movie, great soundtrack. Phil Collins is amazing. And great villain with Clayton. And probably one of the most gruesome, if not the most gruesome, Disney deaths for a villain. Which I really like that Disney did that in the Renaissance era. Also, not to mention that the dynamic between Tarzan and his family and trying to figure out how he relates to humans, and even his parents dying in the beginning just makes for an all-around well-rounded movie. And that he gets together with his love interest in the end just puts it all together, which is great. And honestly, it's just a great movie that I love to watch. And number four is Aladdin. I don't think I really need much explanation as to why that's a great movie. Jafar is a great villain who is probably one of my favorite villains. He's definitely top 10, possibly even top 5. So, I mean, that in and of itself makes it a top 5 movie. The reason I consider it above Tarzan is because I think the villain's even better. And one of my favorites of all time. I think that the dynamic between Aladdin and Jasmine is really, really good. And I think it's just an all-around, well-rounded movie that doesn't really need any improvement on. It's just everything about it, from the soundtrack to the story, and everything just flows together. And Robin Williams as a genie just makes the movie and makes me laugh and laugh and laugh. He's so funny. Seriously, he's so funny. I really liked him as the genie. I really wish that he wouldn't have ended up killing himself later down the road, so he could have been the genie again. Would have been making that a really even better for the sequels, because the sequels weren't that great, except for the second one. The second one was solid, but not amazing. Anyway, my third favorite movie is Mulan, and I just love it. It's a well-rounded movie. Great soundtrack again. Mushu is funny. Eddie Murphy is always funny. Just has always been able to make me laugh and laugh and laugh. And not to mention that I just find Mulan to be, the way Disney wrote it, to be a very, very powerful story. I wish they didn't ruin that in the sequel by what they did, but that's neither here nor there. And I might talk about that in some other lists at some other time. Anyway, my second favorite movie is The Lion King. Well, obviously, The Lion King's everybody's either number 1 or number 2, so why is it my number 2? Well, it has nothing to really do with how. Number 2 is The Lion King, and The Lion King is an all-around great movie, and it has the best soundtrack out of all the movies on the list that I've named so far. Even though I think one movie tops it, I think that the soundtrack of The Lion King is better, and that the villain is second only to one other villain. Scar is a great villain. He just is a great villain. Lion King, they base it basically off of Hamlet, which I really like the fact they did it basically Hamlet with lions. And, I mean, it's a great story, great soundtrack. And, I mean, you can't not love the villain. I mean, I always just love his one-liner, though, the "I'm surrounded by idiots." I use that on a daily basis, so I can't say that I don't. It's my favorite one-liner in probably all of Disney history. And his villain song, "Be Prepared," is a great, great villain song as well. Not to mention that he's a great villain overall, as he, I mean, how much better can a villain get? You kill your own brother, you exile your nephew and try and kill him, and then you end up ruling over everything for a while until ultimately you get your comeuppance. I mean, just a great, great movie. But in my mind, only one tops it. Before I get into my number one pick, I'm going to give you guys a couple honorable mentions. If I gave you all of my honorable mentions, this video would be way too long, as I have 5 of them. So I'm only going to do 3 of them. Number 1 is The Little Mermaid. The Little Mermaid would probably be number 11 if I was making the list, as it's a great movie. It just, to me, it doesn't surpass the other ones on the list, but only barely. It is a great movie, great villain, great soundtrack, but it just happens to not be in my top 10 favorites. The second one that barely escapes the top 10 is Beauty and the Beast, and that would probably be number 12, as Beauty and the Beast is still a great movie with a great soundtrack and great story. It just happens to not make my top 10. And the third one, and I know many of my friends will be surprised by this because I absolutely hate the song Let It Go. Frozen would be probably number 13 on my list if I was making this list with more than 10 movies, as I love the rest of the movie. I just hate that song, so I can't put it in the top 10. Anyways, number one is Hunchback of Notre Dame. It is just a great movie, great soundtrack except for one song, but I still happen to like the movie better than The Lion King, and a large part of that has to do with just how good the villain is. Frollo is an amazing villain, who's honestly, in my mind, even better than Scar. I know that's a hot take to some, but in the first couple minutes of the movie, the dude literally kills somebody and tries to drown a literal child, and not to mention tries to genocide an entire race. And yeah, this is a Disney movie. And not to mention that his villain song is possibly one of, if not the best villain songs. I consider it the best, but there is a very high contender for the best with that one, which is Be Prepared for Lion King, which is why Lion King is still a great movie. But I love The Hunchback of Notre Dame more because I love pretty much everything about it. I mean, sure, the gargoyles aren't great. I know that people don't like them. I don't mind them. And I don't think they take away from the overall movie. It is, in my opinion, the best, but yet darkest, possibly, Disney movie of all time. It is a great Disney movie, but you have to be able to stomach it because it talks about very, what I would call, sensitive topics for a Disney movie. And it does it really, really well. The reason I think that it's a better movie is because I really love the characters. The characters just work. Like, straight up, the characters literally work so well. Like, every single character is great. And not to mention that not only is every character great, yeah, except for the gargoyles, but every single main character is great. Which, in my mind, makes it really, really a great movie. And not to mention that I just feel like it deals with really hard topics to deal with in a really strong way. Frollo is literally also a mix between like Mother Gothel and like Scar, like, and is even more evil because he doesn't believe anything that he's doing is evil and believes everything he's doing is morally acceptable and right, even if it's evil. He believes that he can do no wrong, which in my mind makes him the scariest and best Disney villain. Because Scar, while he is a crazy villain, Frollo is the scariest because he's the most realistic on what a villain could be like in real life. And I feel like the way Disney does that and makes him that evil without understanding that he is evil is just a great way to write a villain. And there's a lot more that I could talk about with this movie, but it would make the video way, way, way too long. I love the movie that much that I could talk about this probably for hours. But since I don't want to make the video 30 minutes plus long, I'm going to stop right here. So I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and y'all have a great time and a great rest of your day.